There is a profound misunderstanding about what it means to stop drinking. Many believe it's a simple act of willpower, a decision made one day to not pick up a glass the next. But for a significant number of people, the decision to stop is only the beginning of a complex and potentially dangerous physiological battle. To understand recovery, we must first understand the science of withdrawal. The first question people often ask is, how do you safely detox from alcohol? The answer begins with a critical warning. For a heavy long-term drinker, suddenly stopping alcohol can be life-threatening. For months, or even years, the brain has been adapting to the constant presence of a depressant. It has been fighting to keep the system active, heightening its own electrical signals to counteract the sedative effect of alcohol. When the alcohol is suddenly removed, the brain's own go signals are no longer suppressed. The nervous system, now unchecked, rebounds with catastrophic force. This rebound is what we call acute alcohol withdrawal. It typically begins within 6 to 24 hours after the last drink and can last anywhere from 3 to 10 days. The initial symptoms are often what people expect: severe anxiety, insomnia, irritability, and a racing heart. But it's the window between day 3 and day 7 that poses the greatest risk. In this period, the brain's overactivity can trigger grand mal seizures. Simultaneously, the person may enter a state of delirium known as delirium tremens, or DTs. This is a medical emergency. The symptoms of DTs are terrifying. It involves profound confusion and a complete break from reality. Sufferers experience vivid hallucinations. A common one is tactile feeling of bugs crawling all over the skin, a condition known as formication. Auditory and visual hallucinations are also common, leading to severe paranoia, feeling that people are trying to cause them harm. Without immediate medical intervention, delirium tremens has a significant mortality rate. This is why the first and most crucial step in any serious detoxification is a medical evaluation. So, how do we treat this dangerous withdrawal? It's vital to recognize that treating withdrawal and treating the disease of alcoholism are two different things. First, we must put out the fire. Then we can begin to rebuild. For those at risk of severe withdrawal, medications are not just helpful, they are essential. Doctors often use benzodiazepines, which are also depressants, to safely calm the overexcited nervous system, effectively replacing the alcohol in a controlled, tapering dose. This prevents seizures and helps manage the tremors and anxiety. Other anti-seizure medications may also be used. However, for very mild cases of alcohol use disorder, a medical detox may not be necessary. The universal symptoms of withdrawal from any substance, anxiety, irritability, insomnia, depression, and intrusive thoughts of wanting to use can sometimes be managed with intense emotional and psychological support through that acute phase. But regardless of the method, the goal is the same: to get the person safely to the other side of acute withdrawal. By about day 10, this initial life-threatening syndrome has typically subsided. But the battle is far from over. In many ways, the most challenging part has just begun. This is where we encounter the protracted abstinence syndrome. The idea behind protracted abstinence is that the brain's healing process is a marathon, not a sprint. While the acute, physically dangerous symptoms are gone, the underlying neurochemical imbalances can persist for months and in some cases even years. Addiction creates a profound dopamine deficit state. The brain, so used to the artificial floods of dopamine prompted by alcohol, has downregulated its own natural production. The result is a persistent feeling of emptiness, an inability to feel pleasure, and intense, lingering cravings. This is not a failure of willpower. It is a physiological state. One of the most stubborn aspects of this protracted syndrome is sleep disruption. We have excellent data showing that it takes, on average, about 18 months after stopping drinking for a person's sleep architecture to completely normalize. So when my patients in recovery come to me after a month or two and say, I'm still not sleeping. My message is consistent. Hang in there. Your brain is healing. The simple tincture of time is one of the most powerful medicines we have. This brings us to the final, most important question. How do you truly treat the disease of alcoholism, or what we now call alcohol use disorder? The answer lies in understanding its nature. It is a biopsychosocial disease. Its causes are biological, psychological, and social. Therefore, the treatment must be biopsychosocial as well. Let's start with the biological. We have several FDA-approved medications. A primary example is Naltrexone. To understand how it works, you first need to understand that alcohol hijacks the brain's own internal opioid system. That feeling of warmth, pleasure, and reinforcement you get from drinking is partly due to stimulating your own opioid system. Naltrexone is an opioid receptor blocker. It sits on those receptors and prevents the alcohol-induced opioids from latching on. The result is that cravings are reduced. And if a person taking naltrexone does drink, the act is far less reinforcing. It feels empty. The reward has been removed from the behavior. Next is the psychological component. Decades of data show that individual and group psychotherapy can be incredibly effective. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy help people identify the triggers and thought patterns that lead to drinking and develop new, healthier coping mechanisms. Finally, we have the social piece. One of the biggest risk factors for addiction is simple access to the substance and the environment surrounding its use. Treatment must involve helping people change their immediate environment. This includes who they spend their time with. If your social circle revolves around heavy drinking, it becomes incredibly difficult to maintain sobriety. This is why sober mutual help groups can be so powerful. Sharing struggles and solutions with others facing the same problem creates a new reinforcing social network. And the data is clear. People who actively participate in groups like Alcoholics Anonymous, on average, stay sober longer. Recovery is not a single event. It is a multifaceted, long-term process of healing. It requires medical support to survive the initial withdrawal and a combination of biological, psychological, and social strategies to treat the underlying disease. If you or someone you love is struggling with an alcohol use disorder, please talk to your healthcare professional. The path is challenging, but the science is clear. It is never too late to begin.